Recorded multimedia comparative study by Shava, Paulina, and more. Task components, auteur film theory. Jaws, 1975 by Steven Spielberg and The Shining, 1980 by Stanley Kubrick. To what effect are features of auteur film theory employed in a film to distinguish a director's unique trademarks? Steven Spielberg versus Stanley Kubrick. The Spielberg case, the Kubrick stare.
In this scene, Brody expresses a look of shock after a young child has been captured by a shark. Private Ryan reflects his first time at the war. Jack observes his family in the snow outside. The opening scene to Clockwork Orange.
Similarities versus differences. Similarities. Both directors utilize a dolly close-up or a long shot, focusing on a single face. Differences. The close-up take in Jaws is meant to convey the fear that the protagonist feels from witnessing a source of horror into the audience. In addition, the character never looks directly at the camera, while in The Shining, the long shot is meant to instill fear in the audience by simply making them uncomfortable from the pointed glare.
How this connects to the topic. Both Kubrick and Spielberg pull in the camera towards a character to emphasize emotion, but depending on the director, that emotion is either awestruck or madness.
Normal protagonist faces an extraordinary scene. Normal protagonist questions human nature.
This is when we see the shark for the first time. The characters observe the dinosaurs passing.
Meanwhile, in The Shining, we hear this.
My girls, they didn't care for the Overlook at first. One of them actually stole a pack of matches and tried to burn it down. But I corrected them, sir. And when my wife tried to prevent me from doing my duty, I corrected her.
The dark side of human nature is once again magnified in this scene from A Clockwork Orange.
Oh, go on! Do me in, you bastard cowards! We don't want to live anyway. Not in a stinking world like this.
Oh? And what's so stinking about it?
It's a stinking world because there's no law and order anymore. It's a stinking world because it lets the young get onto the old, like you done. Oh, it's no world for an old man any longer.
Similarities versus differences. Similarities. In both films, a normal protagonist is exposed to an extraordinary scene which changes their outlook on human nature and the future of humanity. Differences. Jaws utilizes a short take to emphasize a shocking moment between the protagonist's face and the antagonist's, whereas The Shining utilizes a sequence, for example, the conversation, to introduce an existing phenomena and greatly exploit it in order to instill a new fear of mankind into the audience. How this connects to the topic. By exposing the protagonist to extraordinary situations or unconventional ideas with a short take before and after the event, or a sequence before and after the idea is introduced, the character must step into the protagonist's shoes as they alter and question their human existence, as well as the future of humanity. The Spielberg Oneer. Tracking shots following character.
In this scene, Brady is confronted to the mayor on his decision to close the beaches. A couple walks into the bar as the camera follows them. We follow Danny as he rides his bike throughout the hotel. We follow Dave through a jog throughout the spaceship.
Similarities versus differences. Similarities. In both films, the camera is following a character without any interrupting cuts. Differences. In Jaws, the camera is focused on multiple characters and the story plot is progressing throughout the long take. In The Shining, the focus is on an establishing shot of the setting prior to a climax, with no progress in the storyline. How this relates to the topic. Both Spielberg and Kubrick use a different kind of close-up to portray different things in their own trademark way. Framing shot through objects, one-point perspective shot.
They frame the boat living through the shark's teeth. Here, David is framed through a light to demonstrate his isolation. The camera remains stationary as the woman walks up the wall. In this scene, a mysterious ball is rolled to Danny and he searches for its origin.
Similarities versus differences. Similarities. Both directors utilize the camera to focus audience attention on a specific point. Differences. Whereas Spielberg relies on objects to frame that specific point, Kubrick places the camera in such a way that allows leading lines in the landscape of the scene to point our eyes to that specific point.